Hi, everybody.
Hello,
Joyeux
everybody.
Noël, or Merry Christmas, or Happy Holidays, or Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Festivus for the rest of us. Just, whatever you celebrate. Happy that.
Yes.
And hello, Karen, and hello, Mary. Give
Yes.
everybody
Hello,
a few
Karen,
minutes to
Mary.
get here. I know
Yes.
there's a couple of live streams going right now, so
Okay.
it may take people a minute before they realize, oh, look, Jerry's on. Let's pop over there for a minute.
Yeah.
And so, hi, Rose.
Hello, Rose.
Oh, my phone is currently turned off because it died when I was out.
Wow.
It's plugged in, recharging, and then I completely shut down because it zero battery. So
Wow.
I haven't been able to check messages yet, and but I'll check after the show. And so Isaac and I are both doing the happy dance because we're both on vacation this
Yes.
coming and the following week. Neither one of
Yes.
us have to go back to work to January 6th. So it's like,
Wow.
yay, party time. I
Yes.
don't know what I'm going to do to party, but it's the thought that counts.
Yes. Yes.
It's not having to get up at 5:30 in the freaking morning, Monday through Friday. That's going to be nice.
Mm-hmm.
And just about the time I get adjusted and sleeping a little later, it'll be time to get started up again. So,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and it'll be
We're
the first day back to work is the hardest too.
mm-hmm. It is. We're gonna be
Mm.
so wound down. Hopefully we won't burn up on re-entry.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know. We're in the middle of a spending freeze,
Oh.
uh, per the governor, um,
Mm.
because he's jacking around with all the money, and suddenly the
Okay.
state doesn't have money for anything, so we're in a spending freeze. It's like
Mm.
everybody's freaking out. Um, yeah, he managed to strong arm a bill that's going to eliminate income tax.
Mm.
It's like, okay, how are you going to pay for stuff if you don't have an income tax? So instead, his bright idea was do a 20 to 30% sales tax on everything, everything from a piece of bubble gum to a car if you want
Wow.
to buy a car. And people are really freaked out about that, but he managed to strong arm it and get it passed
Mhm.
so that when they get the new tax thing done, he can give a tax cut to all of his rich friends, and the rest of us get
Wow.
to pay for it.
Yeah.
The joys of
Wow.
living in a red state.
They're talking about the same thing in Mississippi, eliminating the income tax. That's a wow.
That would be like, okay, my bills are too high. How do I fix it? Oh, I know.
Mhm.
I'll quit my job with no income coming in, and it will miraculously pay for everything.
Yes.
It's like, okay, explain that to me, please, because every economics class I ever took, that's not how it works.
Mhm.
Hi, Michelle. And so, yeah, and then to top it off, we're going to have 45 in his crap starting up in January. So it's like, it's going to be like getting double or triple taxed on everything between him and our governor. It's like, oh my
Oh.
God, this is crazy.
Mm. Wow.
Mm-mm-mm.
I have a theory. It's not making sense to us because we don't
You're
know.
logical.
Well, no, we don't know, we don't have enough information to make it make sense. But if somebody keeps heading in a certain direction that's hurting people, that's obviously what they want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you
Cruelty.
can't. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't do it. You can't. This is not a mistake or
No,
misjudgment.
it's deliberate. It's absolutely deliberate. And
Hmm.
so,
I'm
well,
laughing at what.
considering that I work at a state university, that would be difficult right now because they put us in a spending freeze. We can't buy anything. We can't buy
Mm,
freaking pencils if we need them. I mean,
mm.
nothing.
I'm reading. I was reading Dawn's. Uh,
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about.
oh, I know who
Oh,
she's talking about. She's talking about Mississippi. That's a thing here.
oh, is that a thing in Mississippi? A
Yeah.
volleyball court?
Oh yeah. Off of TANF money or food stamp money. The government sent money for poor people, and uh, Brett. They somehow it channeled through Brett Favre, and they
Oh,
built a
yeah, I
volleyball.
remember that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we red states wouldn't survive without the money blue states send in
yeah.
to the government. That's what funds us
Hmm.
because our governments are too busy trying to stick as much in their pockets as they can get away with and then doing
Hmm.
whatever other things they can do to make it harder on everybody. So I have a
Mm.
feeling that it won't take long before there are going to be people ready to
Yeah.
build their own gallows for the governor. So
Hmm.
um,
We got that
they're going to,
Marie Antoinette energy out there.
yeah. Or you get another Luigi that just starts walking around shooting people.
Oh.
Like, that's not cool.
Yeah.
I do not support or put out violence, YouTube.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm a pacifist. I'm not
Hmm.
I'm not a violent person. But
But they
yeah,
they
so
that was created, and they don't realize that they're creating their own demise. I mean, like
yeah.
the whole point was that they were trying to tell people that it was the deep state, the rich people were doing this to you, and it backfired. I mean, like, but this is one thing. We're looking at we're trying to get people who are under the influence of chemicals to make good decisions. It's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen.
No. Not so long as they're still taking the chemicals.
Right. It's not gonna happen. So that's what we're looking at.
So, and on
I
that
guess
lovely note,
yes.
start the show off with a killer.
Right.
Um, Spit on myself. So today's topic is silencing negative talk,
Yes.
which we were just doing.
Right.
We were showing you what it is
Uh-huh.
and how to recognize it.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, we do have beautiful states down here, Dawn. You're right. It is
Mhm.
gorgeous down here.
Mhm.
But it's like, really?
Mhm.
Really? Anyway, okay. Let's go
No,
back to topic
I was
on
showing
hand.
myself out.
No, Dawn, you're
Okay.
welcome. You
Yes.
can stay as long as you want.
Yes.
Um, Anyhow, so with negative self talk,
Mhm.
I will now turn it over to
Mhm.
Isaac to
Mhm.
explain professionally what exactly that is
Uh-huh.
and how do we overcome it. Hi,
Mhm.
Sylvia, and it's all yours.
Okay. Negative self-talk. I remember when I can't remember who suggested it, but they actually said, "How do we get past the, how did she say it? The negative
self-talk by our parents, I think she
right,
said,
right.
or
Something like
yeah,
that.
something to
Okay.
that. It's. I was looking
I
through
wrote
my
it
notes
down.
too, and
I
I
wrote it
couldn't
down. I'm
find
gonna find,
exactly
okay,
what
I
I
found
wrote.
it.
Okay.
How to silence the voices we heard as children from authority figures. Uh, it depends on, and that is negative self talk. Negative self
Yeah.
talk is actually an affirmation that we keep telling ourselves. Uh,
Yeah.
and if you remember Louise Hay, she says that we're always doing affirmations. And affirmations is simply something that we keep telling ourselves. But when we do it unconsciously, we're telling ourselves something negative about ourselves. And so
Yes.
if you go from the example of ants, yes, any negative thought, when a person, say for instance, if your parents created the cycle of negative thinking, it's almost like if you can look at it in a way of like you've been programmed, and when the person, and I think of it from a position of abuse. When the abuser leaves, the person continues to abuse themselves, and it's like you can't cut off the thought. So
Right.
basically, if, and this is another point that we need to realize, if I know where it came from, just knowing where it came from doesn't mean that we can stop it. It means that we have to do something to counter it. And some people, that is so ingrained, some people have a hard time doing positive affirmations to try to change the thought process. So basically, it's like somebody has programmed us and we go out in the world with the program, but we can rewrite the program. It's
Yeah.
the therapy that people often use to counter negative self talk is cognitive behavioral therapy. It's about thoughts, behaviors, and feelings. You have a thought or behavior that creates a feeling. But also, what I would say to you is that in the spiritual community, we know these things, but mm, we tend to keep repeating them. Uh,
Yeah.
I, the thing that I see is most of the time, the person who continues to have negative thinking, it's due to, it could be due to depression or anxiety. But let me stop. One of the
Rewind.
yeah, one of the negative self-talk patterns is called mind reading. And I'm often careful with that because I know that if somebody's an empath, negative, they, mind reading is, I know this person is thinking something negative about me. But I know that some people can pick up on that. So it's it's like, instead of me telling people like you can't read anybody's mind, you don't know what they're thinking about you, that'll get you past for a while. But if it keeps coming up, what do you do with that? uh, what
Yeah.
I usually try to get people to do, because it's about thoughts, behaviors, and feelings, pay attention to what the emotions that you're feeling. That way you can counter those emotions and you can challenge them. You can do something different. Basically, that's what you're doing. But if you need to work through it with saying this is negative thought, I have to counter this negative thought. Is this person really uh, thinking badly, something bad about me? If you have to go through that process, you go through that process until you can do it without having to put in, a lot of work or a lot of thinking. It's about, we're creatures of habit. Once we learn something, we tend to stick with it. And if I beat myself up with negative thoughts, it feels right because that's what I've always done. And when I try to stop, it's going to feel uncomfortable because I don't have anything to replace it. And that's why you do positive affirmations or gratitude.
Right. And it's real easy to continue. I mean, if as a child, all you ever hear is you're stupid, you're ugly,
Mhm.
you're a klutz, you're this, you're that.
Mhm.
And instead of saying the action you did was a
Mhm.
stupid action,
Mhm.
you get called stupid. And so
Right.
I know I battled it for years. I
Mhm.
still have trouble with it sometimes. And
Mhm.
I know other adults that they make a mistake or they do something that's stupid.
Mhm.
And the first thing they're saying is, um, I'm so stupid. Instead of, it's like, no, you're not
Mhm.
stupid. You
Mhm.
maybe did a stupid act because
Mhm.
you didn't think it through, but
Mhm.
we all do that.
Right.
And it's sometimes it's just shifting the narrative just that little bitty bit
Mhm. Mhm.
is just enough to help you start correcting in your brain. I think, as a layman's terms,
Mhm.
if you recognize it and then can stop yourself and say,
Mhm.
no, I'm not stupid. What I did was
Mhm.
stupid.
Mhm.
And I mean, I've known some of the most beautiful to look at people in the world who think they are the ugliest thing to walk the planet
Mhm.
because they were constantly told as a child that they were ugly,
Mhm.
just because, maybe their hair color was different or their skin color was different or they had
Mhm.
freckles or just
Mhm.
whatever the case may be. And
Mhm.
I see that with kids a lot. I'll see
Mhm.
parents, well, no, that's a stupid thing. You're stupid. It's like, no,
Mhm.
they're not
Mhm.
stupid. They just did
Mhm.
something stupid.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You could tell she's an eat.
And, it doesn't necessarily mean that a person has to be verbally abusive all the time. For some people, they just need to hear something one time, and it affects them a lot differently than it may affect someone else. Some kids, you can tell them, "That was stupid," and their thinking is, "No, that wasn't stupid. I made a mistake." They'll confront it, but some people internalize it. It just depends on the
Yeah,
person. And we have to decide, what affects me. We have to learn ourselves better than we learn anybody else. That's the way we're going to fix ourselves, or not fix ourselves, but that's the way we're going to learn to live a better life.
exactly. Because a lot
Hmm.
of it is if you're constantly told negative things about yourself by
Hmm.
those who are supposed to love you the most and care
Hmm.
about you the most,
Hmm.
then as you grow up, it's a lot easier to believe the negative about yourself.
Hmm.
I mean, it's like you can have 30 people say something nice about you and let one person say something negative, and that's the comment you remember,
Yeah.
is that one
Yeah.
negative comment.
Hmm.
And it's like, but that's just one comment against 30 comments of people saying, how much they appreciate you or how good you do your job or
Yeah.
this, that, or the other.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
it's changing
Hmm.
that record in our head
Hmm.
or flipping the chip, I guess. I'm trying to think of how to make it more.
I
I think
think
most
you're.
people here in the chat know what know what changing the record means. We all had record players back in the day.
Okay, changing. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I knew what you meant. But you're right. Well, rewrite the program. It it's
There we go. Yeah.
we we actually know. mm, any therapy is just problem solving, and that's mostly what CBT is. You're solving a
Hi,
problem.
baby. Be careful.
What I think what we need to do is, well, when we get ready to change something, we can change it. It's it's uh
Yeah.
it's like or deciding to, like me deciding to declutter my little office space. And I just let it sit there for a while. But once I got tired of it, I decided, okay, there is a process that I can go through. Well, no, I happened to come across the process on YouTube. It just popped up. And I'm like, okay, I understand that. I can do that. I think that's the way it is in life. We know
Yeah.
exactly what's not working for us. We just have to find a process to change it. You
Yeah.
can decide to, I think society has, and we don't realize it, in society, we have certain beliefs that things are supposed to be a certain way. And it is very hard for us to change because the belief is so ingrained. But as human beings, we are multifaceted. We can believe or do just about anything we want to do. But what holds us back is our belief. It's not that we can't say, okay, I I grew up in a difficult situation. So now I have to guard against every difficult situation, or I have to be sad for the rest of my life. You don't have to do that. You can decide how you want to change and begin the process. You can't Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks says you can't get it wrong. You can't get it wrong and you can't get it done. And it's true. You know, a mistake is just a mistake. It doesn't mean that we are a mistake. It means that there are so many other things that we can do. We have so many choices. We can change and do so many different things.
Exactly.
Yes,
Um,
what was it takes something like 12 positive comments to counteract one negative. And I, and I believe that, but I also
yeah.
believe that you can decide that I will start to make the best possible decisions for myself. I would discover new ways to improve myself, and you can move toward it. Do you know that you can live your life without being insulted by anything that anybody says or does? Imagine if you could do that. But it's a decision. You can
Yeah.
People can call you a name, a slur, and you can feel sad about it, or you can say, what made you say that? Or you could just ignore it. You don't have
Yeah.
to you don't
Accept
have
it.
you don't have to accept it. You do not have to accept it and you do not have to react to it. You can choose how you react. We don't think that though. It's like if you call me this certain name, I'm supposed to blow up and flip the table.
Yeah.
You don't have to
What
do
good does
that.
that do? Yeah.
It doesn't do any
What
good.
good
It
does it
doesn't do any good.
if you do it? I mean, it's like, what good does that do? So,
You have to
um,
clean up. You have to clean it up. Or you
exactly.
have to or you have to be angry with the person for the rest of your life. That doesn't serve you.
No, I mean, that's like the old adage goes, it's drinking poison,
Yeah.
waiting for the other person to get sick and die. It's like,
Yeah. Mhm.
but they're not the one drinking the poison, you are,
Right.
it's
Mhm. And
I had a
that's a
falling out with a
resentment.
friend back in my early 20s, and we did not speak to each other for close to 15 years.
Mhm.
And her husband and I went to high school together.
Mhm.
And one of our reunions was coming along, and he managed to track me down to let me know that we were having a reunion and did I want to go and blah blah blah. And that's when I found out that he had married this person that I had the fallout with.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, I said, I'm glad. I'm glad y'all are happy, and he said, yeah, she said she wanted to talk to you, but that you would probably never talk to her because she did something really cruel and hurt you, and she knew it. And I said,
Mhm.
no, I'll talk to her. I don't have any problem talking to her.
Mhm.
So later that night, she called me back, and it was the first time we'd spoke to each other in 15 years. And the first words out of her mouth was, "I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "You don't have to apologize." I said, "I
Mhm.
forgave you years ago
Mhm.
simply because it was eating me up,
Mhm.
and I couldn't live with that anymore. It
Right.
was easier to just forgive it and move on from it."
Mhm.
I said, "So there's nothing to apologize for."
Right.
The fact that she did helped a lot, though, as far as my self-esteem
Right.
went.
Mhm.
But, it was to let her know it wasn't necessary
Right.
because I'd already forgiven her. And,
Mhm.
and it was good to make that reconnect, again,
Mhm.
because we had been
Mhm.
very close at one time.
Mhm.
And so, and I know stuff like that happens with people all the time. It even happens
Mhm.
within families
Mhm.
where, where you have family members that don't talk to each other,
Mhm.
sometimes for decades,
Mhm.
don't see each other unless it's a funeral that they're going to.
Uh-huh.
And so, um, but yeah, I like what Hippie put,
Mhm.
um, naming the child and not a me problem.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, this is what she went to go in front of it.
Mhm.
One of the kids flipped her off.
Mhm.
And it was the
Yeah.
other kids being so upset that they had to come tell her about it.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think you're right, Hippie. I think he did
Mhm.
the right thing. That's
Mhm.
his problem. It's not my problem.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm not the
Yeah.
one doing the flipping off,
Mhm.
So, hi, Garnett. Hi, MLR.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, like, we have so many options for behavior. It
yeah,
it when you
No,
start to
no, ask
think
Justin.
that I'm choosing the same behavior over and over, you start to realize that you're limiting yourself. Now, in your story sharing, there's one thing that I do that if I've had a disagreement with someone like that, or if they just all of a sudden um, say cut me loose, and I can't, and if and I will know if I've done something, you know what I mean? And if I haven't done anything to like sort of like mm, trigger the situation, if the person apologizes, I'm okay with the apology and I'm okay to move on. But I will, it's really difficult for me to refriend somebody. It's like if you did it once, you're that's probably in your
you've lost
personality,
trust. You've lost trust
lost
with someone.
trust, and plus I've moved on. It's like, okay, what do I
Right.
do from here? I'm doing something different. It's like back in the past that was going on, and it's like the chain was broken. So I went on to, if you desert someone, you can't expect them to be sitting there when you come back. You just can't.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
exactly.
cannot. Uh-huh. And it's like it's not about being mean to somebody, it's about taking care of yourself and setting appropriate boundaries. And you can even tell a person like, we've been I forgive you, but we've been apart so long. I've done other things in my life. If we get together, that's good, but I don't know I don't see it, anytime in the future. Let's just think on it and just keep moving. That's what I think. Because the best thing in life for me that I've learned is to let go. Is instead of holding on to resentments or anger, it's if I can
Exactly.
let go, I go on to live a better life.
Hi, Joy. Yeah, I mean, uh, I'm gonna have to listen to that cat all night long.
Mhm. Mhm.
He's an eating. One of the
Mhm.
boyfriends is walking around outside, so I
Mhm.
won't let her out because it's like, yeah, no, you're not going to end up with kittens. Um, I've already got the stray cat living on the
Mhm.
patio that's about to give birth any day.
Mhm.
Um, but it's it's very difficult,
Mhm.
even as an adult, to try to restructure your thought process
Mhm.
and not take those slights so personally.
Yeah. Mhm.
Somebody walks by you in the hallway and you say hi and they don't even acknowledge you.
Uh-huh.
And you immediately internalize it. This is what did I do?
Mhm.
Instead of just simply stopping and thinking, well, evidently they were so into whatever they were doing, it didn't even register to them
Yeah.
that I said hello,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, and most likely it has nothing to do with me.
Mhm.
It's something to do with them, you know.
Right.
Um, and as a parent, when I became a parent, I would catch myself sometimes saying it, you're just stupid when my son would do something wrong.
Mhm.
And then I would catch it later, it would replay in my head. And
Mhm.
I'd have to go tell him, I was wrong.
Yeah.
You're not stupid. What you did
Right.
was stupid.
Mhm.
And there's a difference.
Mhm.
And now y'all can notice in the description box below, I've got a couple of links that Isaac shared so that
Mhm.
we can kind of look at it a little bit more in depth.
Mhm.
Here's one of those pages, 5 negative self-talk patterns, and those will, and here it goes into understanding negative self-talk, which sometimes can be harder
Mhm.
than what somebody else says.
Mhm.
We can be more hard on ourselves than something that another person says to you. Um,
Mhm.
and I like they go into the origins of negative self-talk, and again that goes back to the parents. How do parents discipline for wrong behavior, which is a private, personal flaw that you did this wrong behavior?
Mhm.
But then how do I turn it around to make it a lesson to learn from and
Mhm.
not just a put down to the kid? And I think that plays a big part.
Mhm.
Um, excuse me. Um, okay, in this article here, they list 5 negative self talk patterns. Personalizing, um, which is you automatically blame yourself for whatever's going on around you.
Mhm.
Somehow it's the sky is falling, it's your fault.
Mhm.
And uh, magnifying a problem. How many of us over the years have known someone
Mhm.
that something really minor happens, but they get so wound up about it that they've turned this molehill into a mountain.
Mhm.
And now it's become this huge problem.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness, I don't know why I'm yawning. I must be sleepy. Let's see. Catastrophizing. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Yep, catastrophizing. Um, and that we all know people who are like that. You let one little thing happen, and suddenly everyone's out to get them. The world is falling apart. We're going to blow ourselves up in a couple of days. I mean, just nonsensical, kind of out there responses to something negative that you hear about yourself. And that's not to say that you shouldn't pay attention when you get internal hits like that. That
Mhm.
maybe there is a portion of that is why this happened. Um, but putting yourself down in the process doesn't seem to help very well.
Mhm.
Um, It's like you hear, well, there's an active volcano on such and such an island. Hey, excuse me. I am so sorry. And and instead of just being like, "Oh, that's bad. We need to take precautionary measures to protect ourselves." No, all of
Mhm.
a sudden it's everybody's out to get me, and
Mhm.
it all gets internalized as me, me, me.
Mhm.
When a lot of times it has nothing to do with you.
Mhm.
We just don't realize that. Am
Mhm.
I off in that? I mean, that's how I've always felt.
Mhm.
Let me see what else I got here. Polarizing. That's the extremism. Mind
Mhm.
reading. You were just talking about that.
Mhm.
Assuming that you know what someone else is thinking. The impacts it can have on your mental health and your daily life.
Mhm.
If you constantly feed yourself negative self talk,
Mhm.
then it can really lead to anxiety, high stress, which can then turn into heart disease or many other things that can be caused from that kind of stuff. Um, so that makes it um,
Mhm.
really difficult. And then
Mhm.
in this article, it talks about addressing negative self talk as well. And
Mhm.
like I said, the links for these pages that I'm showing you is in the description box. So you can go in and you can look for yourself and see if this is something I can just focus on and take care of myself, or holy crapola, I need to go call a psychologist or a psychiatrist to
Mhm.
come and take care of this issue because
Mhm.
I'm tripping out.
Mhm.
And I've known people who do both, and I know that there have been times in my life when I've done both,
Mhm.
been just as guilty for that flawed thinking
Mhm.
as the person that grew up telling me that I was always not good enough.
Mhm.
Um, and sometimes, especially when it comes from family, technically they don't have to actually say anything to you or call you names or anything like that. Sometimes um, just picking up on the negative talk, even if it's about somebody else, is enough to trigger you
Mhm.
and make you think, "Oh no, they're talking about me. Oh, this is
Mhm.
horrible." It's like, yeah, but it doesn't have anything to do with you.
Mhm.
You just happen to be the person to get spewed on because you were in the way.
Yeah.
And let's see, it goes into addressing it, how you can address it. Um, Anyway, it's a pretty good article. I read most of it last night, and then I skimmed it again this morning.
Mhm.
Um, and so it's the link for that the um, is in the description box below. So let's see.
Mhm.
I'll have to do another share screen with the other. Okay, and this is the other page that we pulled up.
Mhm.
Um, that you had sent me, which on this one
Mhm.
here, they're talking about which thoughts and behavioral patterns are harmful and which are not.
Mhm.
I mean, look at the narcissist. They can walk around and be booed by everybody within earshot. They have things thrown at them. They can be told they're a terrible person, and they just don't even absorb that information. They go through their life acting like everything's hunky dory fine, and they make no mistakes. And so that
Mhm.
I thought that was all pretty good there with
Mhm. That one explains, what cognitive
yeah.
behavioral therapy.
I'm right here. I'm just having leg cramps. I'm having to
Okay. Alright.
stand up and do some stretches. Sometimes it does that to me. Um, the joy of having permanent nerve damage in your back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Mhm.
yeah, PTSD. I mean, that's you can have two different people get put in a situation like war or something like that, and they're going to come out of it two totally different people.
Mhm.
One person that's able to absorb what happened and go and say to themselves, okay, this happens in wartime. It has nothing to do with me as a person.
Mhm.
And then you have another person who can't let go of what has happened. And
Mhm.
every little thing will trigger them and
Mhm.
cause them to just kind of flip out on you or something. It's
Mhm.
it's kind of weird.
Well, you know, the people that I've seen that I've worked with, most people, and even myself, the reason why people can't let something go, because they keep asking why, and you'll never answer that question because it whatever happens in our lives that's caused by other people, we will never know unless they share it with us. And then it
Right.
may whatever they tell us the reason why they did what they did, it may not be a good excuse. That's why I said earlier, it's a if you are able to let go, you're gonna live a lot better life if you can let go and move on.
Yeah.
I just believe that. Let me say, it works for me. It's not
There you
it
go.
doesn't come easily. It takes practice, and sometimes you will
But
get
it works.
thrown off,
It works
but you
for
can
you.
move on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, I know what Hippie was talking about up here.
Mhm.
Somebody punching the bully in the face.
Mhm.
I know when my son was in fifth grade, there was a group of boys that were bullies. They bullied all the other kids,
Mhm.
but they picked on my son. They picked him out of the crowd to pick on because one, he was smaller than most of the other kids his age.
Mhm. Mhm.
He didn't stand much of a chance. I'm 5 feet. His dad was like 5'5", so
Mhm. Mhm.
he's like, yeah, you're not ever going to be tall, son. Just deal with it. But,
Yeah.
and we were always teaching him, turn the other cheek, just walk away. Don't engage because, they're that's going to put you just as much in the wrong as
Mhm.
the person doing the bullying. Except that one day, and it had happened day after day after day after day after months of this going on, he came home in tears again because of this kid and his buddies that, like to follow him around and torture him in the hallway.
Mhm.
And he just caught me in a mood that night where I just turned around and looked at him. I said, next damn time that kid picks on you, I said, turn around and haul off and punch him right between the eyes with all you got. He was like, "Oh, mom, I can't do that." I said, "Yeah, you can. I give you permission." And he looked at his dad, and his daddy said, "You heard her. If anybody can throw a good punch, it's your mama. She says punch, punch." And that's, and of course, I didn't expect him to to really do it. Um, but about 2, 3 days later, we get a call from the vice principal, saying, Mr. and Mrs. Hinkle, we need you to come down and see about your son. He got in a fight at school.
Mhm.
And now, we didn't find out until after we went down and talked to the vice principal that he had 5 teachers and about 20, 30 students that went to the office immediately after it happened to vouch for my son that this
Oh, okay.
was,
Mhm.
that he shouldn't be punished because of what happened.
Uh-huh.
And I said, "Well, what exactly happened?" He said, "Well, according to the eyewitnesses, and several of them were teachers, um, this group of boys have been tormenting him for quite a while." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Unfortunately, when he came home last night upset about it again, I was in just the right mood. I told him to next time it happens to punch him in between the eyes." And the vice principal said, "Yeah, that's what he did." And I said, "Wait, what?" He said according to the witnesses, he dropped his books right there in the middle of the hallway, whirled around, and with the force of his whirl around, just took his fist with him and just punched that kid right between the eyes. Boom, knocked him out cold. The kid
Wow.
hit the ground like a sack of cement, out cold, and it broke his
Ooh.
nose.
Ooh.
And he did it with one punch.
Wow.
And of course, because of school rules, well, he was going to get expelled just like the other kid, or, not expelled, but put in detention or whatever for 3
Mhm.
days. And, and this was happening the week before Thanksgiving, right? So the following week, we weren't even going to be at school anyway because it would have been Thanksgiving week and the kids all had time off. And so my husband said, "Well, will he lose school credit when he's, at home?" And the principal said, "Well, yes." Um, and my husband said, "There's no way he can get credit for his classes." And the vice principal said, "Well," he said, the nuns over in the convent run a special school on the other side of town for really bad kids. That's where we send them, and so that they can try to continue their schoolwork."
Wow.
And he said, "But your son doesn't belong with this group of kids." And his
Mhm.
daddy was like, "No, if he's not going to lose credit for school, then that's where he's going to go." And so we went and brought him the next morning. We went over there. We went into the school, introduced ourselves to Mother Superior and
Mhm.
everything. My husband came to pick him up after school that afternoon. And here comes Mother Superior beating the trip to the car, right? And my husband's thinking, "Oh my God, what did he do now?" And he gets to the car. She gets to the car and she leans in. She says, "Your son does not belong in this school. He is far too kind to people." And my husband was like, "He didn't get any other fights?" And she said, "Well, no, I wasn't going to let him mix and mingle with those other kids." She says, "I kept him in the office with me all day."
Oh, wow.
Where he spent the next 3 days having intense Bible discussions between the Protestant Bible and the Catholic Bible and what was the same and
Mhm.
what was different. The nuns all loved him. I mean, he was their favorite person. Um, but he didn't lose credit for school. And
Mhm.
he was so worried that we were gonna get mad at him because he hit that kid. And I said,
Mhm.
sometimes the only way to resolve a situation is to fight it out. And I said, naturally, I didn't expect you to do that, but I said, it's my fault. I did give you permission. I told you to just punch those lights out. And you did, quite literally. And the other parents were wanting to sue us. And the
Really?
school and a bunch of the teachers and stuff all came to his defense again and said, "No, no,
Wow.
your kid is a bully and he has been terrorizing other students since the beginning
Mhm.
of the school year. And this little boy just finally had enough and he turned around and handled it himself. And so uh, we got lucky in that regards,
Mhm.
that he was able to then go back to school and
Mhm.
um, and carry on after 3 days of hanging out with the nuns in the convent. I was like, well, if that don't do something to you, nothing will. Um,
Mhm.
Sometimes I think that's why he's an atheist today, 'cause he had to spend 3 days with the nuns. But but again,
That's fun.
it's trying to not be violent in a violent situation
Mhm.
in response to no longer wanting
Mhm.
to accept that negative talk that's coming at you.
Mhm.
Hey, dummy. Hey, stupid. Hey,
Mhm.
whatever terms kids call each other.
Right.
And they can
Right.
be quite creative. Let me tell
Yeah.
you,
Mhm.
they can come up with some names. Even the older kids in college level can come up with
Mhm.
some name calling. I mean, it's like, wow, really?
Mhm.
That's actually pretty good. I'll have to write that one down so I don't forget. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of
Mhm.
again, it's taking that negative talk and turning it into a positive
Mhm.
in order to move through it.
Mhm.
And the entire country is in the process of still dealing with the PTSD that we all were feeling 4 years ago after 4 years of 45.
Mhm.
The whole damn country was having PTSD. Um, and now we're gonna have to deal with it all over again. So it's it's really important. I think a lesson that everybody could learn from a narcissist
Mhm.
is to continually tell yourself, I'm the best, I'm the greatest, I'm number
Mhm.
one. I mean, and you can do that in a way that's not discouraging or disrupting to others, to,
Mhm.
to combat that negative talk,
Mhm.
in my opinion. That's it's
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
you know. Okay, I'm through. I ran through
Okay.
my stuff. Hi, Kiva. I'm gonna back. Oh, hey, Barbara. I'm gonna back up here and see. Put my
Mhm.
glasses back on so I can see what I'm looking at.
Mhm.
Um, see what everybody's been saying. Um,
Yeah.
uh, that's hippie. You're very right there. Um, Parents have their kids signed up for so much stuff. They're
Mm.
constantly being bombarded.
Mhm.
And how much harder is it going to be for this next generation growing up as they become adults to deal with that negative talk?
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
that negative self-talk that
Mhm.
they go through because as kids they don't have any downtime.
Mhm.
They're not allowed to decompress and just kind of blow it out and go, oh, okay, that the day's
Mhm.
over with. Move on to the next.
Mhm.
Instead, their times are filled up with every waking moment, this club, this sport, this whatever. Um,
Mhm.
and it's hard to learn to defeat that self-talk when
Yeah.
you're constantly being
Mhm.
stressed out that you're not performing at a level that your parents think you should be performing at, because to
Mhm.
them you're the most wonderful thing to walk across the planet. And
Mhm.
I'm sorry, but no, I don't buy that one.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I mean, you see parents in the park with their kids or at a restaurant or something, and they're all sitting at a table together and nobody's talking to each other.
Mhm.
They're all doing this number on their phone. Um,
That's fun. It'll all work out.
yeah, I mean, it does all work out in the end eventually. Sometimes it takes longer than other times.
Mhm.
some kids never get past it, and they carry that with them on into adulthood, where
Mhm.
they're always putting themselves in the position of being the victim.
Mm.
I mean, there are enough real victims out there that we don't need to create more.
Yeah.
I'm just
Well,
saying, you know.
with the social media and all the things that are going on, it's like
Yeah.
people have stopped thinking. I That's just my belief. And it's like Abraham Hicks says, we have so many freedoms we can choose bondage. And if you don't choose, you're still choosing. So I think that's what's going on. People are, I mean, like, we are crazy about we will go crazy if somebody tries to take our rights away, our freedoms away. But we're not choosing things that are benefiting us. We're choosing things that are, I guess, making us more vulnerable, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like people who vote against their own best interest
Yeah, yeah.
and then want to
Mhm,
sit around and complain about this, that, and the
mhm,
other. And it's like, well, who did
mhm.
you vote for? Well,
Right, right.
you don't have any room to complain then because
Mhm,
that's what you
mhm,
voted for. So suck it up.
mhm. But, I think too, it's a lack of thinking through the process and realizing how connected we all are. I think some people are doing that because they want other people to hurt. Some people are doing it out of envy. It is strange, but people haven't thought it through, and they think that some people. I guess some people are thinking, "Well, I'm already hurting. If they hurt too, it's going to be okay." It's just a weird thing, I guess.
Yeah, it's like I'm in pain, so how much pain can I put you in to make you
Yeah.
worse off than me?
Uh huh.
Um,
Yeah.
and that's really sad. Instead of looking at
Hmm.
that person and thinking, wow, they're really in pain. What can I do to help them feel better?
Right. Right. Yeah.
And
We
again,
have
I
so
think
many
that,
freedoms we can choose bondage.
yeah, exactly. You know, so many freedoms that you've got people choosing fascism over democracy,
Exactly.
a
Exactly.
dictatorship over rule by the people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's sad. I mean, you've got it's and unfortunately, once those people get just the least little taste of that power,
Mhm.
they turn into megalomaniacs. I mean,
Mhm.
it's like there's no bringing them back down.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I saw was it Hippie that put in there that or MLR put in there that yeah, I worked uh for years I worked at a local plasma center and I did every position in that job you
Mhm.
could do over the
Mhm.
years I was there. I worked there for 14 years, but I started out in the reception area where I would process people when they came in.
Mhm.
And it was truly shocking to realize how many adults are functionally illiterate.
Mhm.
It didn't matter the color of their skin, it didn't
Mhm.
matter what religion they came up in,
Mhm.
it didn't matter what socioeconomic position they were in, because I saw well off kids as well as really poor kids that couldn't read or write.
Mhm.
It's like, how the hell did you get all the way through school and graduated and you can't
Mhm.
read or write? How is that possible?
Mhm.
And because they can't read or write, that enables that negative self talk
Mhm.
because they know that they're stupid, so to speak, as opposed to other
Mhm.
people their age, because they can't read a form.
Mhm.
They need someone to read it to them and then explain it to them so they can understand what it was you just read to
Mm.
them.
Now that's sad.
It is sad. It's really sad. And I dealt with people like that. They could make their X literally, and that would be it on a paper. They couldn't sign their name, nothing. And I
Mm.
would have to read all the paperwork through to them and then explain it to them,
Wow.
what that meant because they didn't understand. And then they would turn around in the next breath and talk about, well, I'm just stupid. Well, I'm just this. Well, and like, no, you just haven't learned to read yet. You can fix that. You can go take a class and learn how to read. You can go to a local church and say, do you have classes to teach adults how to read and write? So
Mhm.
there's a lot of churches that'll do that kind of thing, especially Catholic churches. They got their finger in every pie. So it it's hard to pull yourself out of that thought pattern,
Mhm.
and it's something we have to work on.
Mhm.
And,
Yep.
and as we work on it, it becomes easier and easier to eliminate that negative talk
Yeah.
against yourself.
Mhm.
And that's it. I'm out of points to make.
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
run through all my stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah.
anything else you want to add to it?
Nope. Just problem solving. That's all.
That's it.
It's problem solving.
Well, we will be back on January 12th. So you get to see us back after a week back to work. See how
Yeah.
brain dead Isaac and I are at that point.
That's it.
And the topic we had was sex addiction
Yeah, that's gonna be
for
interesting.
that particular. And then the next one after that was communication skills, and then we're gonna have to rely on y'all to come up with some topics for us to talk about. So, uh, because I think that's where you and I ran out. These are the
Mhm.
last two we had left. I
Mhm.
was like, wow, at least we got through a whole year.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, we're coming up on our anniversary of our channel together, of our show together.
Yes. Yes.
In a couple of weeks, I'll have to look back at what the date was for the first one,
Let's see. Let's see.
and we had
28. January 28th.
January 28th. Okay, I knew it was in January. I just couldn't remember
Mhm.
how late or early. So we will have to celebrate that little tidbit on the 26th when we come in, when
Yeah.
we're back on the 26th. And
Mhm.
so, anything else you want to add to it?
No, just encourage
Just
everybody to practice self-care. Take care of yourself.
that's it. Because if we don't take care of us, who will?
Exactly.
Um, that's who we have to rely on. Take care of ourselves is
Mhm.
ourselves.
Mhm.
And sometimes we get really lucky and we find a partner that's there to help us do that, just as we help them do that.
Mhm.
Sometimes we don't. So
Mhm.
I guess this is it for the day. We've been a little over an hour. hour and 5 minutes.
Okay.
And y'all have a very Merry Christmas um, and a Happy New
Yes.
Year,
Yes. Merry
because it'll be
Christmas.
the new year when you see us again. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, think of some good, positive things that you can do for the new year.
Yes.
Don't do resolutions or whatever it is they call it. Those never get done anyway. Just think of some positive things you want to move towards,
Yes.
in the and then work that into your manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
Get a notebook and start journaling. There's all kinds of
Yes.
things we can do to help
Yes.
ourselves.
Yeah. Do what
And
works for you. Start where you are. Just do what works for you.
absolutely. All right, my dear. Well, I guess that's about it.
Okay.
Y'all have a wonderful Christmas, a happy new year. We will see you next year. And keep smiling.
Yes. See you
Don't
later.
forget there go the cat again. So time to go.